It was a cold autumn morning in Sylvania. Mother Rose Timbertop had just finished hanging the washing out when Grandmother Fern came up the garden carrying a bunch of flowers. "You'll have some more washing to do when Birch returns," said Grandmother Fern. "He's gone exploring again. He always gets his clothes dirty with all that digging." Birch Timbertop loved exploring the Sylvanian woods. He spent a lot of time searching for flints and arrowheads to add to his collection. "I just hope he's back in time for school," said Mother Rose. Birch knew that he mustn't be late for school. He left home very early to give himself plenty of time, and already he was in the valley below the Purple Mountain, digging for flint. "I'm Birch, the famous explorer. I dig for flints all the time. I need some arrowheads as well to add to the collection of mine." Suddenly he heard a strange scuffling sound. "What was that noise?" asked Birch. "It came from behind that rock." "Brave bears! I'm going to see what's there." Birch crept across quietly. He didn't make any noise. "Whatever I find, I'll be brave," whispered Birch to himself. Why, it's me. I'm lost and lonely. I can't find my family. You look like a kind little bear. Can I come home with you? But I'm Birch, the famous explorer, looking for flints to make arrowheads. If I take a baby goat home instead, my friends will laugh at me." Tears dripped down the goat's face as she looked up at Birch. "Does that mean you won't take me home with you?" sniffled the baby goat. "I'll be good. I promise I will." "I know what." The baby goat skipped over to a nearby rock and butted it. The rock slid aside, and underneath it... "You found some flints for me. Look at them. They're a marvellous sample," said Birch. "Now will you take me home with you?" asked the goat. "Of course I will. You're my lucky mascot." Birch and the baby goat hurried back through the woods. Birch was going to take his lucky mascot to his house when he heard the school bell ringing. "We haven't got time to go to my house. I'll be late for school." "Good morning, Birch. Here's Lester Thistlethorn." "Maybe he'll take you to his house. It's nearer." But Lester had a better idea. "Let's take her to school. Aristotle Treefellow is giving us a test this morning. The baby goat might bring us all luck." Summer Evergreen arrived in time to hear Lester's suggestion. Her mother, Mother Honeysuckle, was the school's headmistress. Mother Honeysuckle wouldn't let a baby come to school. "I I'll be good. I promise I will. Couldn't we hide her somewhere in our classroom? I've got to get the notebooks and pencils for everybody out of the stationery cupboard. We could hide her in there. And by the time Aristotle Treefellow came into the classroom, everyone was sitting quietly at their desks. "Good morning, Class 2, said their teacher. "Good morning, Aristotle Treefellow," they replied. Aristotle looked at the open register and began to call his pupils' names. "Breezy Babblebrook." "Here, sir." "Bubba Babblebrook." "Here, sir." "Summer Evergreen." "Here, sir." "Lester Thistlethorn." "Here, sir." "Birch Timbertop." "Here, sir." "Misty Waters." "Here, I'm here, sir." "Roger Waters." "Here, sir." "Holly Wildwood." "Here, sir, and my brother Rusty is having a music lesson with Mother Honeysuckle. I think that might have been him singing." Holly was only telling a little fib. It might have been Rusty singing, but of course it wasn't. "Right, no more time wasting," said Aristotle. "Open your notebooks and write down the answers to these questions." Everyone set to work. Then something terrible happened. Holly Wildwood broke her pencil. "Have you got a spare pencil?" "No." "Holly Wildwood, no talking. You're in the middle of a test." "Please, sir," said Holly, looking worried, "I've broken my pencil." "Well, that's no problem. I'll get you another one." To whom does this belong? And what is she doing in the stationery cupboard? Aristotle Treefellow sounded cross. The baby goat was frightened. She leapt out of the cupboard, accidentally butting Aristotle out of the way. "Bear's paws," said Birch in dismay. "She's knocked Aristotle right into the cupboard." "I wasn't being naughty. I was eating my breakfast. He frightened me." Summer Evergreen and Lester Thistlethorn ran to help their teacher. Then Birch had to explain how he'd found the baby goat. "Well, you can all take her back to the valley. The rest of the goat herd will soon find her, and because you won't be able to finish the test, I want you to count every footstep you take." The Sylvanian children had a lot of counting to do. 5,006, 5,007, 5,000 and... "Have we much further to go?" asked Summer Evergreen. "No, we're nearly there." The little goat looked very sad. "Don't worry," said Birch. "You can come and see us any time you want." 5,009, 5,010. The Sylvanian families live here, in our land now. But whenever it's quiet, and there's nobody except them to hear, they all settle down for a Sylvanian story time. There are so many stories about Sylvania. It was a warm summer's evening in Sylvania, and the Evergreens decided to invite all their friends to a surprise story party in the garden. "Logan," said Mother Honeysuckle, "you and Summer hurry round and tell everybody about the party." "Tell them they needn't put the babies in their prams," said Grandfather Ernest. "I'll go down to my workshop and make a playpen. It won't take me long." Grandfather Ernest, who was often called Boris, liked inventing things. Most of the time his inventions didn't work out the way he meant them to. "Well, I suppose there isn't much that can go wrong with a playpen," said Grandmother Primrose as she looked into the babies' cots. "I'll come and help you with the playpen when I've told everybody about the party," said Logan to his grandfather. So Grandfather Boris went down to his workshop, and Summer and Logan set out. "We won't have to go to the Babblebrook's or the Wildwoods," Summer said. "We can just call the invitation from here." "That's a good idea," chuckled her brother. "Bubba Babblebrook will hear us, and he can go and tell the Wildwoods." Bubba Babblebrook had very good hearing. He could hear the slightest noise from miles away. "Logan Evergreen calling Bubba Babblebrook. You're all invited to a surprise story party now at our house." Bubba Babblebrook listened carefully to the message. "Don't bring the baby's prams," called Summer. "And please go and tell the Wildwoods," added Logan. "Radiant rabbits!" cried Bubba. "We're all invited to a surprise story party at the Evergreens. We mustn't take the baby's prams, and I've got to go and tell the Wildwoods." "I wondered what you were listening to," laughed Mother Crystal. But Bubba had already hurried away to tell the Wildwoods about the party. "How lucky I've just done some baking," said Mother Crystal. "We can take some nice hot clover bread with us." Mother Crystal Babblebrook was the best cook in Sylvania. "I'll take some of my strawberry champagne," said Grandmother Pearl. Mother Crystal tried not to groan. Grandmother Pearl was the worst cook in Sylvania. "Did you make the strawberry champagne, or was it a present?" asked Crystal. "I made it, of course. I didn't even use a recipe book. I just added a pinch of this and a spoonful of that. I'll go and get it. It's in my bedroom cupboard." "Oh, well," muttered Mother Crystal, "we'll have to find a way of hiding the bottles, or emptying them." And Mother Crystal went to see what else she could take to the party. "Are you sure we've invited everybody to the party?" asked Logan. "Of course I'm sure," replied Summer. "And all the tree fellows are coming. Even Arabella. She was awake early today." Arabella Treefellow slept most of the day and woke up at night when everybody else was sleeping. "Oh, that's good," smiled Logan. "Arabella can tell us a story about night time in the Sylvanian woods." "I'll go in and tell Mother Honeysuckle that everybody will be here soon, and see if she needs any help," said Summer. "And I can hear Grandfather Boris hammering away in his workshop," said Logan, "making the playpen. I'll go and help him." Summer finished laying the tables and looked up as she heard voices. Oh yes, that... "The waters are here, Mother Honeysuckle," called Summer. "Mother Nancy has brought some of her beautiful flowers." Mother Nancy Waters loved gardening. Her flowers filled the Sylvanian woods with perfume throughout the summer. "Hello, dear," said Mother Nancy, handing Summer the bunch of flowers. "Everyone else is at the end of the garden, looking at the playpens." "Did you say playpens?" asked Summer. "Has Grandfather Boris made more than one?" Mother Nancy laughed. "Just wait till you see them, Summer. They don't look a bit like playpens. They look more like—" At that moment, the tree fellows arrived. Grumpy was scowling as usual. "How do you do?" said Grumpy. "What are all those tents doing at the end of your garden?" asked Arabella. "They certainly weren't there last night." Mother Nancy laughed again. "That's what the playpens look like," she said. "They look like tents." "Has somebody brought some tents?" asked Mother Honeysuckle. "What a good idea." "Nobody brought them, Mother Honeysuckle," explained Summer. "Grandfather Boris made them. I think they're supposed to be playpens. Let's go and have a look at them."
"I like this one better than the other one because this one faces the other way, and the wind won't blow in through the door, see? Because if it rains, the other people are going to get very
The
wet."
playpens did indeed look like tents. Grandfather Boris looked very pleased with himself. "After I'd made the first one, I decided it wasn't quite right," explained Grandfather Boris. "So I made some more. They all turned out like this. Now I realize I meant them to look like this all along. What good is a playpen without a roof?" Just look at those playpens. They look exactly like tents to me. Preston Evergreen shouted from inside one of the playpens.
"Grandfather Boris, you haven't made playpens."
"You've made tents, and we've got a marvellous idea. Let's take them into the woods and have a camping holiday." Logan Evergreen looked thoughtful. He'd helped Grandfather Boris to put the playpens, or tents, up. He didn't fancy pulling them down and putting them up somewhere else. "Why don't we just have a camping holiday here?" suggested Logan. "A camping holiday?" asked Bubba Babblebrook, who'd just arrived. "I thought we were coming to a story party." "Oh, Bubba," giggled Breezy, "I think Grandmother Pearl's bottles of strawberry champagne have just exploded. I said you were shaking them around too much." It was a good job that Bubba had put the bottles down before the corks popped out. Bubba laughed and asked his question again. "Logan, are we having a camping holiday?" "It looks like it," replied Logan. "I'm sure Mother Honeysuckle won't mind if everyone else sleeps here, and I expect there's plenty of food." Preston Evergreen shouted again from inside one of the tents.
"Listen, everybody! Lester Thistlethorn has made up a new poem."
"Well, come out here and recite it for us, Lester," ordered Grandfather Boris. Lester Thistlethorn often made up poems. All the Sylvanians liked to hear them. "The Sylvanians are camping, camping, camping in playpens that went wrong. The Sylvanians are camping, camping. Why don't you come along?" Grandfather Boris made some playpens that turned out to be tents. "Grandfather Boris, don't you know it was a lucky accident? The Sylvanians are camping, camping, camping in playpens that went wrong. The Sylvanians are camping, camping, and you all came along." Of course, the Sylvanians' camping holiday was a very long time ago. The Sylvanian families live here, in our land now. But whenever it's quiet, and there's nobody except them to hear, they all settle down for a Sylvanian story time. There are so many stories about Sylvania. It had been raining heavily, and it was Prissy Thistlethorn's turn to deliver the Sylvanian Gazette. Father Chester was the editor, and he sighed as he looked at his newspaper. Mother Willow shook her head. "Chester, how many times have I told you it's bad manners to read at the breakfast table?" Mother Willow thought good manners very important. "I'm sorry, Willow," said Chester, "but I've written a full page about tomorrow's fair. If it keeps raining, we won't be having it." Prissy made a suggestion. "Why don't you walk to the Evergreens' house with me, Father Chester? We can ask Grandmother Primrose if it's going to rain tomorrow." Grandmother Primrose Evergreen was the Sylvanian weather lady. All the Sylvanians went to see her if they wanted to know about the weather. "It's going to be sunny tomorrow," said Grandmother Primrose as Prissy handed her a newspaper. "My toes have stopped aching and my ears are ringing. Hooray! We can have our fair tomorrow." Grandmother Primrose's weather forecast was right, as usual. The next day the sun shone brightly, and everybody was about very early getting the sideshows ready. Grumpy Treefellow frowned as he looked at a picture of Aristotle. "What sort of a game is this, looking at a picture of Father Aristotle?" "This is the real game," said Blinky. "You have 3 ping-pong balls," explained Winky, "and you have to throw them at Father Aristotle's mortarboard and try and knock it off his head." Scarlet Slidell couldn't wait to try the game. Aristotle Treefellow was always teasing her about her beautiful tail. "Oh, do let me have the first go," she said. "You can't have a go yet, Scarlet. We haven't brought the ping-pong balls." Buster Slidell came to the rescue. "You can throw this if you like. Grandmother Pearl Babblebrook made it. It's as hard as a ping-pong ball." And Buster passed his sister a large cream cake. "You aren't very good at throwing, Scarlet. Let me help you," he said. "Ooh! Ooh, take 50 lines, take 100 lines, you! Ooh, ooh." "I didn't know you were real," said Scarlet. Even Grumpy Treefellow thought it was funny as Buster and Scarlet ran away. "That was the best trick I've ever played." "You mean you knew I was throwing the cream cake at the real Aristotle?" Scarlet felt quite cross when she realized that Buster had played a trick on her. She stood still to think while Buster hurried on without her. "Lucky dip," said Scarlet, as she looked at Barnaby and Bluebell Oakwood's sideshow. "That's it. I'll give Buster a lucky dip. A dip in the water." Bluebell Oakwood felt puzzled when she heard Scarlet's words. "But Scarlet," said Bluebell, "we haven't got water in our lucky dip." "I know you haven't, Bluebell," Scarlet replied, "but Roger Waters has built a raft. A raft goes on water." Barnaby Oakwood interrupted Scarlet. "You can't push Buster off the raft into the water, Scarlet," said Barnaby. "That will be dangerous." "But I could get Buster to take me for a ride on the raft," said Scarlet. "I'll tell him it's a free ride. He'll come then. And I could have a bucket of water with me and tip it over him." Barnaby interrupted again. "It would be better if we told Buster about the free ride. He won't guess you're playing a trick then. You go over to the lake, Scarlet, and we'll send Buster to you." So Scarlet went off to the lake, and before long Buster came back to find her. "Barnaby! Bluebell! Have you seen Scarlet anywhere?" Buster asked. "Yes," Bluebell told him. "Roger Waters is giving free raft rides. Scarlet's gone to the lake." "Frowning foxes! I hope I'll be in time for a free ride," shouted Buster, and he too hurried off to the lake. Barnaby and Bluebell were pleased that the first part of the plan had worked. "If we walk slowly to the lake," said Barnaby, "we should arrive just in time to see the fun." Scarlet had told Roger Waters her plan, and after Buster climbed onto the raft, Roger had hidden a bucket of water behind Scarlet. "Oh, Buster, look! There, in the water, there's a peculiar fish with orange and green spots all over it," said Scarlet. "When Buster looks down into the lake, Scarlet will throw the water over him," whispered Bluebell. "Scarlet, you frumpy fox!" spluttered Buster as his sister poured the water over him. "Serves you right for playing a trick on me," said Scarlet. Everybody laughed as Scarlet guided the raft back to the bank. Buster got off the raft and glared at Scarlet. "I'll think of something else to do to you, Scarlet," snarled Buster. "But first, I'm going to find somewhere quiet to have a snooze." Buster slept for a long time. All the sideshows were ready, and Logan Evergreen had been sent to look for Buster. Lazy Buster. How he enjoys sleeping. I don't think I'll wake him yet. I've got a good idea. Logan hurried back to his sister Summer's sideshow. "Summer, bring some paints and come and paint Buster Slidell while he's asleep." "All right, I'll put some pots on a tray. Logan, you go and find Prissy Thistlethorn. When we've painted Buster, Prissy can wake him up." The three of them walked very quietly to Buster's sleeping place. Summer said, "I think I'll paint a clown's face on him." "I've got some balloons in my pocket," said Logan. "Let's blow them up and tie them to Buster's tail." Before long, Buster's face was painted, and the balloons were tied gently onto his tail. Roll up to the Sylvanian fair. Come on, everybody, see the sideshows. Roll up." Prissy and her friends laughed as they looked at Buster. "Lots of lovely sideshows. Roll up, roll up." Ooh, are the sideshows open? Ooh, where shall we go first?" "You've already been to one, Buster. You've got a lovely bright face," said Summer. "And somebody must have given you a prize for sleeping the longest. Just look at those balloons." Buster laughed as he stood up. Prissy was right. They were going to have lots of fun. Of course, the Sylvanian fair was a long time ago. The Sylvanian families live here in our land now. But whenever it's quiet and there's nobody except them to hear, they all settle down for a Sylvanian story time. There are so many stories about Sylvania. It was a cold winter's day in Sylvania, and it had been snowing. Misty and Roger Waters were playing in the treehouse that Father Wade had built. "I don't suppose Muddy and Molly McBurrows will come now it's started to snow," said Roger. "Oh, a little bit of snow won't keep them away," replied Misty. "They're really looking forward to playing Happy House. They said so yesterday." Happy House was an exciting board game that Roger had invented. "Maybe you're right," said Roger. "I think I can hear someone now." He looked down from the treehouse, and sure enough, Molly and Muddy McBurrows were at the bottom of the ladder. "We didn't want to walk here. It's been snowing, so we tunnelled all the way," said Molly. "But don't worry, we're quite clean. We brushed all the mud off our clothes." The Sylvanians were used to the McBurrows arriving with mud all over them. Muddy wasn't called Muddy for nothing. "I expect you're thirsty after all your hard work," said Misty. "I'll go and ask Mother Nancy if she'll make us some cocoa." "You know," said Molly thoughtfully, "I like this tree house almost as much as our tunnels. One's high up and the other's low down." "What was that noise?" asked Muddy. "It can't be Misty back with the cocoa already." Roger reached out of the window, and to the McBurrows' surprise, he pulled in a tin attached to a length of string. "It's a secret telephone," explained Roger, holding the tin to his ear. "Most of us have got one. Our parents don't know about it. We use it for sending urgent messages." Roger looked worried as he put the tin back in its hiding place. "The message was from Rusty Wildwood," said Roger. "He wants us to go to his house for a band rehearsal." Rusty Wildwood collected musical instruments, and he could play every single one. He taught some of his friends to play too, and they'd formed a band. "We'll just have to play Happy House later on," said Molly. "Band rehearsals are very important." "Don't look so worried, Roger. Muddy and I will tunnel to Rusty's house." "It's Misty I'm worried about," whispered Roger. "She would really love to play in Rusty's band. The trouble is, she can't play anything, and she gets very upset about it." "Well, couldn't she sing?" said Muddy. "Lots of bands have a singer." But Misty wasn't very good at singing. Somehow she just couldn't sing in time with the music. "Maybe I could teach her to play the accordion," suggested Molly. "It's easy, really." "Rusty's tried to teach her to play every instrument," said Roger. "It's no good. She just can't do it." Misty heard Roger's words as she came to tell them the cocoa was ready. "I'll pretend I don't mind," said Misty to herself. "I'll go to Rusty's house with them. There might be something I can do." Misty felt very sad as she went back into the treehouse. "We'll have to drink the cocoa quickly," said Roger. We've got to go to a band rehearsal," he explained. "Well, it's ready. Mother Nancy is just pouring it out," said Misty. "I'll come to Rusty's with you. I like walking in the snow." Misty spoke cheerfully, but she felt very sad. "Oh, I'm glad you're coming," said Roger, hugging his sister. "You'll be company for me on the way. Muddy and Molly are going to tunnel there." Before long, Misty and Roger were walking through the woods to the Wildwood's house. "I wonder who'll get there first," he said. "Us or Muddy and Molly?" "I expect they will," said Misty. "They tunnel ever so quickly. I can never understand how they find their way." "No, I can't either," chuckled Roger. "They never get lost, do they?" Just then, Barnaby Oakwood jumped from a nearby tree. "Lost? Did I hear you say lost?" asked Barnaby. "Have you lost something too? I've lost all the acorns I put away for Bluebell's birthday cake. Mother Betsy is very cross with me." "Oh, Barnaby, you can never remember where you hide your acorns," laughed Misty. "I'll help you look for them," she added. "I'd like to help too, but I've got to go to a band rehearsal," said Roger. "I'll come to Rusty's later," said Misty. "After all, you don't really need me, but poor Barnaby does." So Roger hurried away, and Misty started searching for the missing acorns. "It's nice of you to help me, Misty. I do wish I wasn't so forgetful," sighed Barnaby. "Brilliant! Beaver! Look!" shouted Misty. Barnaby nearly jumped out of his skin when Misty shouted. "Have you found my acorns?" asked Barnaby. "No, I haven't. But I have found a 4-leaf clover. That means it's wishing time," said Misty. "And it must be a very lucky clover to be growing in the winter." Misty gave Barnaby the clover. "Make your wish," she said. Barnaby closed his eyes and made his wish. "It worked! It worked!" laughed Barnaby. "I've remembered where I hid the acorns. They're in a jar under my bed. Oh, thank you, Misty. You must have a wish now." Barnaby rushed happily away, and Misty looked thoughtfully at the lucky clover. Then she held it up. "I hope it is a lucky clover, because there's something I want to wish for very much." Misty concentrated on the clover and wished really hard. I wish that I could be in Rusty Wildwood's band." Then Misty ran all the way to Rusty's house, carrying her lucky clover. "I do wish Misty would hurry up," said Roger. "I can't wait to tell her our idea." "Are you sure Misty will like the idea?" asked Father Herb Wildwood. "What idea?" asked Misty as she came into the room. Everything went quiet as everyone waited to see who was going to tell Misty the idea. "I'll tell her," said Roger. "Come over here, Misty, and I'll explain." Everyone waited excitedly as Roger talked to his sister. "It's a lovely idea," laughed Misty. "Can I practice it now?" Misty had to climb inside Rusty Wildwood's drum. She had to wait until Rusty played a solo. Then she was to jump out of the drum. "Are you comfortable, Misty?" said Rusty. "Yes." Then Misty gave the band a surprise of her own. "I found a lucky clover, and my wish came true. Now I wish that all of you will find a clover too."
Oh, hooray! Well done, Misty.
Oh, that was smashing!
Well done, Misty.
Of course, it was a long time ago when Misty found her lucky clover.